meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Neil.
Here.
Ralph.
Here.
Bill.
Here.
Kathy. Here. Mary Day. Here.
Okay, on to the Marks Radio. I've been talking with some people on this Marks system. Number one, this is not a state mandate. The only thing it's a state mandate is the sheriff upgrades his console by 2018, which the commissioners has given him money to do. Now, he's stating to the fact that we're not going to be able to communicate if we don't do it. I talked with Camden Mayor last Tuesday. He didn't even know anything about it yet. I did talk to him again last night. He said that there'll be a meeting on it sometime this week. He's got a committee looking into it, but he was unaware of any communication. I'm assuming his chief had been attending the meetings with our chief, but the mayor had not been provided any information from the sheriff's department about anything that's going on. I also talked with Lewisburg Police Chief the other day when I went through town, and he was going to make his recommendation to council this past Thursday night. They hadn't been put to the council yet either. So, we're kind of in a box here. The sheriff's saying he's not going to maintain this VHR system, but they have to maintain it for fire and ESN. Now, when he says he's not going to maintain it, I don't know how this works. I thought there was a commissioners meeting this morning. There usually is on Monday and Wednesday. I went this morning and they did not have a meeting because I was going to get some more direct answers for you from the commissioners themselves today, but they didn't have a meeting this morning. So I'm assuming when he says he's not going to man this thing, I'm assuming, and maybe you can like this chief, I'm assuming they have a dispatch for EMS and fire, and then they have someone else that handles the police dispatch. Is that what it is?
Right, we're talking two different channels.
Yeah.
So fire and EMS is on their own frequency.
But they have one person that monitors that, I'm assuming, or does one person monitor both?
At times, one person monitors both. At times, there's one for each of those.
So I'm assuming when he says he's not going to maintain it, he's not going to have a person monitor these police communications back and forth. It's the only thing I can figure out, because they have to maintain that system for EMS and fire. So we're being pushed in one direction, I think. I don't think we're going to probably have a choice, but I'm just telling you what I found out. Some of the statements has been made, it's just not the way it's coming down to as far as being mandated or not going to be manned. Now that, if he doesn't have a man there to answer it, I guess that's not being maintained. I guess that would come back upon the sheriff to make that decision, I'm assuming. So therefore, I guess he can tell us that it's not going to be maintained, which in fact, they have to maintain it. But I don't know if that's his club to everybody or how he's going about this, I don't know. Then they got the one dispatch center that they'd like to get involved in. I'm being told that that's going to go on the ballot. Of course, 8 months ago when I attended the meeting, they were going to come around and explain all this to everybody, and now they're not coming around explaining it. Now they're just doing it, and then they'll probably just put that on the ballot. But I guess if he goes ahead and gets his radios in place, it pretty much makes it, in my opinion, another point that he can stress for his one dispatch center in the future, because they've already switched over to these radios. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I'm just telling you what I found out last week. So, that's what I found out. So, I haven't, the way everybody I've talked to, Camden feel like, we don't have much recourse but to go along with this thing, but I've got to tell you, I don't like the way it's been shoved down our throat. Not in favor of the way that they went about it at all, in my opinion.
The numbers. The first we had numbers was in November, is that right?
Right. Yeah. We've discussed this for a couple of months at our chief
Uh-huh.
The sheriff sent out a letter, which I forwarded on to the mayor and all that, so we've talked about it for a couple of months. So I tried to keep you guys informed as much as I can. A lot of the other buildings haven't talked about it up until now. That's pretty short notice on my
That's
end.
awfully short notice.
Well, I did receive, and she's right, we did receive this 6 weeks, 7 weeks ago on this December 15th deadline.
Yes.
And I don't dispute that. I do dispute the fact that when I went to a meeting at the engineer's office about 8 months ago, when they first started talking about the one dispatch center, they were going to come around and inform all the councils in the county as to what was taking place, which that hasn't transpired yet. And then the next thing I know, we get a letter, well, we've got to decide on the 15th, and you want to save $7,000. And quite frankly, the part that I don't like is, we're going to put you out here on your own, and you don't have anything to say about it. And quite frankly, I don't like that. And this is not a state mandate. This is and from everything I can gather, it's a sheriff's decision to do this. There's 52 counties that's going to the MARS system in the state of Ohio. The other 26 counties are going to something else. So, I mean, I'm not against them having their encrypted radio systems. And it's their protection and all that. I agree with that. I disagree with the way it's been handled and shoved at us without the time to budget a little bit better. Coming up with this money all one time. Unfortunately, we can't have our officers exposed either. And the question I wanted to ask the commissioners this morning that we had a meeting was, and I said, I'm just speaking, ask a question on my behalf to relay to the council, because I don't know what council is going to do, but I wanted to ask the commissioners if we don't do it, and our officers are out here on their own, who's responsible if something happens to the officer? You're the one who cut the radios off to them. That was just going to be my simple question to see what kind of answer I could get. But, the ball's in their court, so just telling you everything I found out last week. And so, floor is up for discussion. Or Chief, if you have something here, it looks like things has changed.
Yeah, I have a little bit to pass on to you. The original lease agreement, the company kind of took a step back on that because the way they had it figured was for loans over $100,000. So we're only at $40,000 only. So they had to refigure, right? They had to refigure things. So the papers you guys have up there with the orange highlights on it, option number one, if you guys agree to move now and commit to this, option one is the total price, including installation and everything financed. And the new terms on this is a yearly payment, but the first payment would be due 6 months from the time of close. So, or when the paperwork is signed, instead of a year like the other one was. So option one would be a 5-year loan for $10,054.06, and that's everything. That's including installation. Option two is the equipment only, not including installation, and that would be $7,046.73 yearly. But with option two, we would have around a $13,000 payment to make when the installation is complete. So there's your difference between option one and option two.
Jumped their interest rate up to
Yes, right. It was 3 something, and now it's 5.
2.5 or something on a 5-year, I think.
Right.
And how many radios is this, Chief?
3 cars, 1 radio in each car, 1 radio in the office, including antenna, everything, and 4 portables.
So 8 radios.
Yes.
And the rent on the radios is $20 a month per radio, correct?
Yes. The sheriff had verbally agreed to pay.
I do have an email with the sheriff. After we questioned some things at the last meeting, he did come back and specify that he would pay the monthly charge on the radios. Originally, he said he would pay it once one dispatch was in place. Well, there's no guarantee that one dispatch is ever going to be in place, because that's still got to go before the voters. So he kind of left himself a little bit of an out there. So I asked Chief to have it clarified on this payment thing. Now, I will tell you that when I told the Lewisburg Police Department that they were doing that, they didn't have that offer from the sheriff, so that's the sheriff's spot to deal with. But he has made it verbal to us that he would pay the monthly thing. So 8 radios, 160 a month times 12. $1,920 a year. So, and now, here's the major question. Is this, in my opinion, which I don't know the answer to, maybe you can answer, Chief, is this a monthly fee from now on? So now my question to the sheriff is he going to pay it from now on?
I think his hopes, according to the email he sent me, is that the Attorney General's office will eventually pick that up, but he says he will cover it until that happens. I don't know if he's got an inside there, or something in the works, but
Who gets the fee? I mean, what's the fee for? I don't know. I'm just been licensed, please.
the fee is actually each radio on the system.
On the frequency or?
Right.
Okay.
If I have a radio that's not paid the fee, my radio will not access their system.
Have you got planned to use any monies from the police fund?
We have some money left over this year. The exact figure, I don't know offhand, but there's probably 8-10 grand in there, I would say, by the end of the year.
Well, I think the discussion last month was it was like $13,000, but we figured we use half of that by the end of the year, so was that close to the numbers?
I was thinking of 20-something left, but then we figured half. So.
Put it around 13,000 we had left, and if we use half of that for the rest of the month.
Yeah.
So now we're down around 6 or 7.
Right. These figures in front of you are with no money down, so I mean, if we did put something down, they could get it down a little bit, but.
Because this option one doesn't have the installation broken out, correct? And it's all lumped in there in that one figure.
Right, I do have the figures, I gave them to you last
Yes,
month.
I think I remember seeing that. It was 13-something for the installation and
Installation and
all the extras, yeah.
Power everything up, right.
We got half of that. I mean, we can sit here and stare at these numbers all we want to. It's not going to grow us any money. This is pitiful. I mean, it's worse than it was a month ago, or when we were at our regular meeting, because the interest rates jumped a week ago, and we don't have that 7-year option where we get a little bit lower payment. It just keeps, and it was a year before you had to pay anything. Now it's 6 months.
6 months now.
Strange how things change in a week's time.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Well, like I say, we're in a little bit of a box here. I don't agree with the way it's being done by any means, but at the same time, we don't want our officers out here
We can't have
without
that, no.
communication too. And like I say, you can't tell me you're not going to maintain the system when you're going to use that system as a backup. So some of this stuff is, I'm sorry, I just don't believe some of the statements being made, but that has nothing to do with the fact that we still got to be able to communicate with these people. If sheriff pays that for 5 years, that'd be $9,600 of the bill on the monthly rent. Now, the way I understand this a little bit, I think it's a radio company is the one applying to the state on behalf of everybody through a fund, and nobody actually knows what that amount of funding is yet, correct?
For a grant,
Yes.
we have it applied to a radio company that applies to the state for grant money for radio purposes. If we are chosen to receive money, we can take that money and put towards this loan as grant money.
But that radio, PR, whoever it is, they're applying for that on behalf of everyone they represent, not just us.
Right.
So I don't know how many counties this company is representing, and they're going to apply for money from the state, and no one can tell me what that pocket of money
Now,
is.
how much is there in the first
Or,
place?
nor will they tell you how far down it trickles. Now, does it just go to the sheriff, does it just go to the counties, does it go to the commissioners, does it come all the way down? Nobody has an answer for that, just telling you what I know.
So in other words, we can, that'd be wonderful if we got something, but
Sure.
there's nothing to even
I wouldn't,
speculate on.
wouldn't bank a lot on it in your decision.
What department in the state would that go through? Secretary of State or not?
That I don't know. I know there's grants.
Somebody's got to have an answer.
There's grants out there for radios.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, like any other grant nowadays, they're so far, there's a little amount, and so far
Yeah.
between everybody's applying.
And they're cutting them out.
Probably AG's or the Attorney General's office, it would be the chief law enforcement. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if that's-
Yeah.
Whoever, I don't
Who
know.
knows?
but
I guess we just speculate on that too, so it's not getting us any money.
Any other thoughts?
$6 months, are we going to have the money to pay it in 6 months?
Well, this money's gonna have to come from your general
It's
fund.
going to come from the general fund.
The problem with that is that we've been trying to build up a little money for other grant purposes to meet, you know, and we can't get it all in the actual funds where, you know, for streets and everything else, there's just not enough money coming in for that. So you're probably gonna have to make a choice down the road. Maybe not, but
I think,
you're looking at
you know,
probably.
I think the money's going to be there for this because the money that we've been gained from the income tax, unfortunately, the money we've gained now, we're taking a step back because the sheriff's society wants to go to the best thing there is out there. And without finding out a way to pay for it other than us divvying up the money, he's saying, here it is. So the steps that we've made forward, unfortunately, we're going to step back with. I think the money's going to be there because we got to protect our officers.
Well, we
But
have
I
to.
don't like the fact, as I said, the way
I
it's
don't like the
been done.
fact either that if they did say they were gonna come around,
And
which they have done so.
I did receive a voicemail from Bob Stallman on the way down here that I got to call him back tomorrow. He said he would have numbers for us by the end of the week on the Miami Valley Lightning situation, just to throw that out there.
Another thing, we're gonna have to,
Yeah, so,
How about if we just form a JID with the township, tell the county to take a fine and leave, and we'll set up our own communications here, and we'll just protect our own little corner, and hire 2 more deputies instead of paying $40,000 for a radio.
we couldn't
That's
afford,
gonna cost-
couldn't afford the deputies, and we couldn't afford the cars. So unfortunately, that 40,000 is 2 patrol cars the next few years too. I mean, it's definitely putting a crunch on us. But at this point, you know, like I say, I talked with the Camden mayor, I talked with the Lewisburg, and, you know, they don't see a way around this, quite frankly.
nobody's gonna revolt with this then, huh?
I don't, no, and here's the thing, you know, you could probably seek, legal position on it, but then you end up giving all your money to a lawyer, and that doesn't do good at all. So, you know, we're just kind of we're being pushed here. I don't, unfortunately, that is what it is. So, having said all that,
Which is pretty much always been the way the county does stuff. They shove the key to us.
always. commissioners would have paid a little closer attention. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this whole thing, but this is what I've been told and what I can gather from it so far. I would have thought that they would have figured out a way to help out the smaller communities when they do things like this. I mean, Gratis is probably not, their police force is probably not going to survive that. Verona's already, their one car's already gone, sheriff controls that already. So now you're down to West Ellick, Lewisburg, Camden, and us, and who am I forgetting, Chief? College Corners, actually, their representation comes from Butler County. Their guy is actually on the other side of College Corners, split halfway in me. So I think pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting one, Chief. Which one is it?
The one to the left of the CD,
Yeah, Sheriff's Office. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that's where we're at. If there's no other discussion, I would need a motion to accept the Mark's Radio proposal.
Option one.
And that would be up to you to decide.
Option one would make sense,
Yeah.
so that you get everything taken care of, installation and all that. Because it's going to cost us anyway to have to install, have somebody else do it. Make
When
sense
will
like
this
that.
come online, Chris?
at the latest, the first quarter of 2016. So we have all next year that, the county just got approved their money at the last meeting a week or so ago. So they got consoles to build, plus all the repeaters throughout the county to install. So there's a good bit of work to install the equipment before it will actually be up and running. So that's like to give us a year. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault, that's right, no.
You know, what kind of upsets us, just 2 years ago, they changed the radios and said, hey, this is it, this is what we're doing. Spent a bunch of money for that, now he changed this, that, and the third.
I know, that's why it's kind of hard to swallow. Like you said, we just replaced the radios.
That's supposed to be good to 2022, and now we're replacing 47,000. It's supposed to be good to 2032.
Right.
With the only thing that could come up, as they said in the email, was possible upgrades to the
Software or something,
software.
no.
Yeah, so.
Maybe it's time to look at another sheriff, maybe we need to vote another sheriff. And besides, not to do stupid stuff like this, you know?
Well, that's just like they were saying, is he gonna guarantee you this money he's gonna give us?
Right.
If he doesn't get elected again, the next sheriff comes along, or the next administration
Right.
comes along, they could change that completely.
Absolutely.
Then we're gonna have to pay that
And
fee
we're
that he's
stuck.
supposedly
We're going to do
saying
it.
he can do.
That's right.
But he doesn't have the authority to say in
That's
the first
right,
place.
that's right, and we're stuck with it.
Whether he has the authority or not, I don't know. I guess that would determine,
You know?
the commissioners control his budget, but what he does with his budget, I'm assuming the sheriff does has control.
Well, if we're gonna go this route, we better hope he's got the authority so he can pay it for us for a while anyway.
There again, like I say, the commissioners control his budget, but he controls what he does with his budget. So
And that's going to change here shortly, because you're going to have a new person coming along.
who's to say what will take place? But the sad part of it is, we don't want our officers out here on their own.
No,
Can't do that.
no,
We
you
can't do
can't,
that.
can't do that. You can't leave them hanging. What's Indiana doing? Is Indiana pretty much on the same system, or what are they doing? Because are they on it already?
Yeah, we get bits of, they still have their old system up and running, so every once in a while, we can kind of hear their traffic, if they have something major going on, they'll broadcast on both of them, but, most of the time, we don't hear anything from them. Yeah. If
And
they
that's
come
where we
over
get a lot of
here-
cross
Right,
stuff,
if they come
cross
over
line.
here, we cannot talk to them, we have to go to our dispatch center. We
Yeah.
Call their dispatch center on the phone and relay, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this will help. I'm in the same boat with you guys, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with how it's done, because we are being forced to do it, and it's a lot of money for all the small businesses. But, the bottom line, in my opinion, is it's his radio system, if he wants to change it, either we change with him, or we're out, as we've discussed, out on our
a motion that we accept this option one proposal and go with the new system.
Is there a second?
I'll second that reluctantly, how's that?
Roll call.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Bill? Ralph?
I reluctantly say yes.
Exactly, and I'm saying the same thing,
Bill?
very reluctantly. We need to send a letter to the sheriff telling him how reluctant we are.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. This is not intended towards you, the discussion,
It's not
towards you or our officer.
It's all dollars and cents, Chris. It's all-
You're hung in the middle too.
It starts out, what I don't like, it starts
I
out
know
being
the
a
discussion
mandate,
that you had with
then
the
I find
chairman.
out it's not a mandate, it's a political decision.
Right.
And that's what ticks me.
That's some lobbyist for the radio company.
That's what Preble County's minimum.
Well, the sheriff sits on the sheriff's board that decides all this stuff too. He sits on the board for the state, so do the math.
They didn't take it very much.
Okay, we have Resolution 2014-22, or 26, excuse me. This is just to appropriate rearranging some funds, correct?
Yes.
Which we do all the time. Be it resolved by the Council of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio, a resolution of approval to realign the permanent appropriations and resolution by modifying the following appropriations from one account to another within the fund. I would need a motion to accept Resolution 2014-26, please.
Will we accept that resolution?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Neil?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
I would need a motion to forego the three reading rule passes as an emergency, please.
Motion made.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Yes.
This will be the second reading of ordinance 2014-04, an ordinance to increase the rent and/or charges for providing water and sewer service to the residents and customers of the village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio. Whereas in accordance with bylaws, rules, and regulations set forth by the council and the Board of Public Affairs of the village of New Paris, the Board of Public Affairs has recommended to the New Paris Village Council an increase in the rates for rent and/or charges to provide water and sewer services to the customers of the New Paris water system and wastewater system. Whereas the council has determined at the Board of Public Affairs recommendation that in order to provide a safe, efficient supply of water and maintain the sewer to the residents of the village of New Paris, Ohio, a rate increase is necessary to maintain the supply and distribution of the village water supply. Excuse me. Now be it therefore ordained by the council of the village of New Paris, Ohio, Preble County. Section 1, in accordance with the recommendation of the Board of Public Affairs, the village council hereby consents to increase the current water rent or charges from the current rate of $19.50 for the minimum amount of 2,000 gallons with an additional charge of $7.25 per 1,000 gallon over the minimum amount of 2,000 gallons to a new rate of $22.50 for the minimum amount of 2,000 gallons with an additional $7.25 per 1,000 gallon over the minimum amount of 2,000 gallons. Section 2, in accordance with the recommendation of the Board of Public Affairs, the village council hereby consents to increase the current wastewater rent and/or charges from the current rate of $7 for a minimum amount of 2,000 gallons with an additional charge of $5 per 1,000 gallon over the minimum amount of 2,000 gallons to a new rate of $12 for a minimum amount of 2,000 gallons with an additional $5 per 1,000 gallon over the minimum amount of 2,000. Section 3, this ordinance shall be declared to be in full force, effective from and after it is passed and approved by the mayor. Section 5, in accordance with approval of the council, the rate adjustment will be effective on the first billing date following the signing of the ordinance 2014-04. Section 6, ordinance 2014-04 voids previous past ordinance setting the rate for rent and charges for water, sewer usage in the village of New Paris, Preble County, Ohio. So goes the second reading of ordinance 2014-04. And with that, I would need a motion to go into executive session, please.
You want to do the 2014-26, don't you?
We did it.
Oh, okay.
I did it first.
Okay,
I switched
sorry.
I switched backwards. Yeah, I did it backwards. Well, then one was easier to read than the other.
know.
To be honest with you, I got lazy.
That, oh boy.
So, yeah.
Motion made for executive session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Bill? Ralph?
Yes.
Neil?
Do you need me?
Yes.
Okay.
Need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
Motion made.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Neil?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Bill? Kathy?
Yes.
Mary Jane?
Yes.
Thank you. The next meeting will be December,
No.
nope, January. I'm lost. This is December, ain't
It
it?
is already, the 5th.
December 5th, 2015 at 7 o'clock.
You said you
About
said.
Or Jan, what did I say, December again?
You just don't want this fun month to end, do
I can't
you?
turn around and look at the calendar, Mayor. Yeah, January 5 of 2015, without any motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Man, I still don't like